Hey y'all, I'm Tess Holliday and welcome to my slumber party. Each week I'm going to introduce you to folks who are making the world a better place. So put on your pajamas, grab a snack, and let's change the world from our bedroom. Hey y'all, I am so excited to have you guys hanging out with me today on the slumber party. I have my first ever digital guest, and I can't think of a better person to start this off with than Soraya Hamidi. Soraya is someone that I have admired for the past year, and she is joining me looking like when I saw how beautiful you looked when I walked into this room, I was like I already knew you were beautiful, but jaw drop, gorgeous.
Oh, too sweet. Thank you. Sometimes I wish when you say these nice things, I wish I could just have them on a loop and like put them as my ringtone. And that way I could just get affirmations all the time. But thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm so excited to be
I'm
here.
so excited to have you. And listen, after this podcast, I am going to send you a voice note just telling you how much
Perfect.
I adore you and how beautiful you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I love the Tess voice notes. Nothing is better. And because the voice notes don't properly work on my phone, I'm like sending you back these like weird voice memos. So it's just our love language.
It is. So I want to introduce Soraya to you guys. Soraya is someone that I met last year. And before I get into how I know her, I want to share a little bit about who she is and why I feel so honored to have her, on my slumber party today. Soraya is a digital campaigner and a content creator for progressive causes. She was recently named Change.org's #3 change maker in 2020, which is major and not surprising if you know her. And after this, when you guys get to know her, you will understand why. We met last year. I was on Instagram. It was around when everything started happening and the Black Lives Matter movement was finally getting global recognition for, unfortunate reasons that we all know. And I don't actually remember if you reached out to me, Soraya, or not, but Soraya was...
I have no idea.
I don't either. Soraya was running the Justice for Elijah McClain Instagram. We're not going to discuss him or his case too much, but I want to discuss it because that is the reason why I am
totally
so honored to know you and that we have forged this relationship. So Elijah, I guess, Soraya, you tell me.
So basically, I saw the case. Basically, Elijah was a 23-year-old man living in Colorado who had passed because of police brutality. He's just walking down the street and police killed him. Unfortunately, this is not the only case like this. But, I saw these videos of Elijah and thought his presence was just so touching and so beautiful. And so I wanted to act. I reached out to his family and they gave me the blessing, said, go for it, create the page, help us, post some stuff and let's, get some traction on it. And then I think you had followed the account or something. And I was like, hi. And we started going back and forth. And then you played such a huge role in amplifying the efforts and in pulling in celebrities and people to spread awareness on the case and motivate people to take action. So a lot of the progress that we've made this year with the case and all my work just trying to support that has definitely been helped by all your efforts as an activist. So yeah, that's how we got in touch. And then ever since then, I just like to keep you in the loop with all the activist things I do, because I think as anyone listening knows, you're not just a model or an influencer, you actually do the work to try to raise important causes. So I always keep you in the loop with those because I know that you're such a huge support of all that.
Thank you. And thanks for introducing. I mean, obviously I'm going to gush about you this entire time, but thank you for the work that you do. And I often do get sad when I think about how you and I met, but I also, try to look at it as, I don't know if silver lining is appropriate, but just it's something nice that has come out of something so tragic. But I know that the work that you're doing, which we're going to discuss today, is hopefully going to maybe not prevent, but help shine a light on what is happening and help get justice for so many folks out there that have stories like Elijah. So appreciate you. And I believe that things happen for a reason, and there's a reason why the universe brought us together. And I'm so thrilled to be able to share your story with everybody, because I know there's so many people out there that, are like me, that want to do something and they don't know what to do. So, today on our slumber party, we're talking about things that probably aren't as lighthearted as other ones. But the purpose of my podcast is to introduce my audience to folks that are doing their part to make the world a better place. And sometimes that doesn't always look as glamorous and pretty as possible other people that have hung out with me on my slumber party, but it's necessary, in order for the world to just get to a place where, we all respect and love each other a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with everything I've done in the activism space in the past year, like it's the way that I came into it and that I've met a lot of people has been like in these horrible negative circumstances.
Yeah.
But, hopefully, we can like shine a light or create something positive out of the negativity and try to just, with a lot of the cases, like the families I work with are so beautiful. And so there is like love and light in the midst of all the negativity surrounding it.
Absolutely. And speaking of love and light, I want to, which seems like a weird segue, but I have to talk for a minute. So when I reached out to Soraya and asked her to be my guest, we were just discussing snacks, and we were discussing I was like, what are your favorite snacks? What is like a virtual, slumber party gonna look like? But you really got into the theme, and I want you to share what your snack is, because I tried to do like my sad version over here. I have like my tea.
It looks amazing.
Thanks. But you had like the cutest idea. So tell me about the snack that we're having today, because this was all you.
Yeah, so I love this segment of the pod because I grew up between the US and Morocco, like on the East Coast here in the US, and then over there, my dad is Moroccan. So I grew up in the culture. So I was like, let me bring a little bit of culture into it, spice things up. So for my snack, I have little cookies, I'll show for those watching, and little nuts. I'm also vegan.
Yeah.
So, because I'm all about the animals. So I have my little chocolate chip cookies.
Love it.
And I wanted to, this is like kind of like classic Moroccan snack that we do over there. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure you did an amazing job of matching.
I know I would reach it and then my microphone, but I have some dried apricots. I have these like vegan cookies that are my favorite, that are like raisins and peanuts. And I got some nuts and some tea like you, because
this is perfect.
This is how I love to snack. And this is part of my podcast that I love, because I'm going to have people of all different cultures. And so it's, this is how I snack, but obviously the idea of doing it like as part of your culture, it just feels really beautiful, because my culture is like, Cheetos and Kool-Aid. So at least yours is like
still
beautiful.
A culture. It's still a culture.
It is. Tell me about what you're wearing, because chef's kiss to your outfit.
Thank you. I was like, I can't show up to see Tess just wearing anything. Like this isn't the place for that. So I tried my best. This is from Weekend Stories. I think that's the name of the brand, from Revolve. I'm not like a huge Revolve, I don't get, but I saw this and I was like, this is exactly what I have to wear on this. It's a bright color. I feel like you like the bright color. So just trying to get on your level here, to be honest.
I mean, I wasn't, like I said, I walked in and I saw you and I jaw drop. I also love that there's a side of me, right? Like obviously for my podcast, I'm a bit more dressed up than I would normally be. But if this was no, I would be dressed up if it was a slumber party with my friends at home. So no, I do like to get dressed up. But, then there's the other side of me that would be in like a t-shirt with no bra on and whatever. But
yeah, me too.
I'm wearing this like cute little kimono duster with little, I think they're cheetahs. I want to say tiger, but they have little cheetahs all over it, a fun print, and a little like t-shirt dress that is so comfy. Because again, I had a feeling that you were, normally I would wear like sweats or something, but I had a feeling that you were going to go all out. So I'm glad that our energies
we're
match.
on the same wavelength.
Before I get into the questions, and I have so many questions, I want to ask you how last week was. And is there anything that you want to discuss before I complain about my stuff?
So, yeah, I mean, this is a highlight. So fun for a Monday to just hang out. But yeah, the week was harder because I think, I mean, like everyone else with this situation, I love when people call this like a pandemic. They'll be like a pandemic Lovato. I'm gonna call it a pandemonium in this in this pandemic Lovato that we're in. Like, it's hard, but I'm excited to be here, and this is definitely giving me a little boost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be here with you, and along the lines of what you were saying, that's actually, it's funny, we're aligned here. Part of what I was going to discuss with you was the pandemic. I think a lot of people are acting like it's over, and it's very much not.
Yeah.
And I saw a tweet today that, made me giggle, but also, I roll my eyes a bit when you really think about it. It said, we have a saying, at least in America, that I'm going to avoid that like the plague, until the actual plague shows up and people do the very opposite, but avoid
Where's
it.
the plague? Yeah. Where, where's the avoidance that we thought was going to come? I know.
Yeah. And so I'm dealing with like missing my friends. I miss travel. And I don't want to say we're coming to an end, but I have more people that are in my circle that have been vaccinated now than I did a week ago. And some people are fully vaccinated. And for me personally, I am going to get the vaccine when it's my turn. And I think, I'm feeling a little like, okay, we're coming to not the end, but I see the light. And there's part of me that like does not want to go outside. Like part of me is really enjoying, being home, not being as social and like doing so many things that felt like
especially
forced.
With your kind of life.
Yeah.
I feel like for you, it's like going outside, then it's like a lot, or like it can be even with your kind of work. I feel like it's like going outside means like you're going to this place, you're going to this shoot, you're going here. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to like run to the grocery store and be done and work from home. So yeah, that makes sense.
It is. Yeah. How are you feeling though? Are you excited to like get back and see your friends and travel? Like, how are you feeling right now with like the fatigue burnout?
I am. I think it's also hard because I graduated during the pandemic last May.
You did.
And so I am missing out. I feel like on potentially the best years of my life because I'm 23. I'm going to be, by the time this is over, I could be 25.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'm aging away. And how am I going to find a husband if we're in this pandemic forever? So I do have concerns about that, but I'm excited to get out because, again, I just want to be young and have fun. It's on pause right now. I'm living with my parents, but, there's bright sides in it. So I'm super excited for it to end, but like having time with family is something I never thought I would be doing this much at 23. Yeah. So I'm still grateful.
I mean, that was also very serious, but also you're like, didn't think I was going to be spending this much time with my family at this age.
Yeah, exactly.
But you also have time to find a husband. I mean, I'm 35, so single, like I remind everybody each week of my podcast.
Inspiring.
And you have
to say it because maybe one day your soulmate will listen and will be like, oh my God, she's single. It's my time to go in.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, at this point, I'm open to anything because, And speaking of dating, which I don't know if because you said you're trying to find, you're like, I need a husband. I had someone come back into my life today that I got on a date with in September. It was probably the best date of my life.
Oh my God.
And it was during the pandemic. This person and I really hit it off, and then they freaked out after the date. And we had talked for like a couple weeks before. We had FaceTimed. We finally have a date. It goes great.
I kind of feel like you texted me about this once.
I did.
Because you said you went on the date in September.
It's the same person, but I was in my bed at 4 a.m. this morning, not sleeping. And I decided to go to this person's Instagram and I looked at their stories. My voice is getting like shaky saying this.
I'm on the edge of I'm gripping my seat. Okay.
Hold on. I actually need to pull up the message because now I'm actually going to ask your advice because this is what we do at slumber parties. So I'm pulling the message up. Okay. So I'm nervous. Person messages me and I need to reiterate that we went on this date. It was the best date. And then this person, we had plans for the next week. Soraya knows this, you guys don't. And then this person messages me and says, hey, I have a lot going on with work and stuff. I don't have time to date. And so because because I am who I am and like energetically, I knew we had a connection and I knew that this person was freaking out because whatever, and they were bailing. And I didn't take it well. I was pretty pissed because I don't like my time being wasted. And also you were clearly trying to date. We met on a dating thing. So, I was kind of like, okay,
what are you up to? Yeah,
exactly.
What's this for?
So unfortunately, this person saw I was looking at their stories and they DM'd me, you're just randomly watching my stories, ? And I said, well, you popped into my, and I said, you popped into my head. And they said, really? Why is that? And I said, why do you think? And they reply, I don't know. Saw someone who looked like me maybe. And I said, or that I was thinking of you because I missed you and wanted to see how you were. Instantly, I was like, I regret it. And then they were like, well,
you're so mature.
Well, more mature than this person because, they basically, we ended up going
why the hostility?
I think that, to be honest, the only reason that I entertained this was because I was like, okay, maybe this person will come back in my life and we'll right? Like it wasn't our time and maybe this will be our time. Mm-hmm. And then
but now it's it fully.
Exactly.
That was crazy.
Exactly.
That was actually crazy. And I don't really know. You know how I actually see this? Okay, first of all, I don't know what kind of grown man or grown person is scrolling through to see who watches their stories. A. Okay. Yeah. B. I feel like this just means that you're also, wait. So he probably saw it. You're probably at the top. So like maybe something to the algorithm, like he's looking at your page. Like maybe he's obsessed with you. Why else is he coming at the top? You never go on his page.
Should have known better. Don't mess with, I have to see it getting like upset. But he's
so obsessed with you.
I just was like, why would you message me? But then guess what? Then he messages me and says, well, can I ask what you missed about me? And I'm like, why? Is this like an ego boost?
Sounds insecure. He's insecure. This is what I do with my sister though, because we're very into like manifesting. We manifest everything into our lives. Yes. Okay. And she kind of has a guy right now, but like, we're like, the way I'm spinning it these days is not like, oh, he's not reaching out to me because he doesn't care about it. No, he's not reaching out to me because he's literally so obsessed with me that the thought of reaching out to me makes him so nervous. He knows that it would be risking too much in his heart, and so he doesn't do it. And that mindset alone, I feel like, just brings them in.
100%. And I believe in manifestation. I say it all. I mean, I had always wanted to do a podcast, but like the way I wanted to do it, and I was patient, and it finally, I manifested it at the right time, and other things in my life, career, my family, whatever. With this particular person, I don't know what it was, but there's just been something about me I felt like was unresolved. So today when, he messaged me, I was like, because I am like, I'm talking to somebody else as well, but we're not in a relationship. We're not exclusive. So, I'm single. Me and the person I'm dating haven't had a talk that we should, but because I'm going to wrap this up and go on to the interview, but I want to ask your advice. Do I not ask this person out for a drink because I'm a glutton for my own punishment and I'm curious? And B, how, like, when do you have the conversation with someone that you're talking to or like dating? Like, are you seeing someone else if you're trying to be monogamous? Because it's been 7 weeks. So now I'm like, is this person popping up to like prompt me to have this conversation with this person that I actually would be in an exclusive relationship with? You know what I mean?
Oh, this is tricky. Okay, he is making mistakes and he's insecure and he's obsessed with you. So
Okay. No,
I think
pass.
we're done with
We
him.
are.
But okay, if it were me, so I I feel like I listen to toxic advice, and what I would do based on this toxic advice is I would definitely, I feel like as soon as you ask like what the status is, the relationship's already over. Because now you ask, and now you're asking for some sort of like approval. And I hate, it's like one of my worst fears is like asking someone to love me. So I would just not, but what I would do maybe is I would like almost tease to them that I was maybe like, oh, like, yeah, I'm just gonna like hang out with this person, but like just like say like, oh, I'm gonna hang out. And then they're gonna be like, wait, uh what what do you mean? And I was like, oh yeah, we're just friends, but what, is that like a problem or what do you think? And then they lock it down and we'd be good. That's what I would do. But I don't know if I'm good at this.
First of all, I'm obsessed with you and your advice because it's funny. I feel that, but there's also part of me that I'm like, do
You're
I
mature.
Well, I mean, listen, I love a petty moment. I feel like half of me is just pettiness. The other half of me has to try really hard to not be petty all the time and like check, like, why am I doing this? Where is this coming from? So yes, there is a level of maturity.
I feel like I'm 23 and I don't know anything yet. With this.
No, I feel like you
do. Actually be the worst person to ask.
No.
But I like my advice. I just don't know if anyone should take it that's actually in something that's meaningful.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep you updated because there's more.
I'm so excited.
There's more to all of this that I need to share with you. And I think I am going to take a little bit of your advice because I don't know why, but I'm just kind of wanting to throw a little something in the flame. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Everyone loves a little competition just to like, feel motivated again.
They do. Well, so this is why I love slumber parties, because this is where conversations like this happen. So thank you for going down that getting tangled up in my little web of dating and madness. It's so hard. It's so hard to navigate dating in a pandemic. And whether you're in your 20s or 30s, we're both here to remind, the listeners and viewers that it's tough and it's hard and none of us know what the fuck we're doing.
Thank you.
I have so many questions. We're finally getting to that part. So for our listeners, I want to know how you got started, because for those of you that are getting to know Soraya today, she literally left her job last year as an account strategist for Google to pursue what you're doing full time. So tell me about how you got started and also what that was like leaving Google.
Yeah. So basically, to rewind a little bit. So I grew up between the US and Morocco, as I said. And that's when I initially moved from the US to Morocco, I was 11. And that's kind of when this all like started on like a subconscious level, because I had moved there and I just felt like I was very different from everyone. I was at an American school, but I was with a lot of Moroccans and I was like half and half. And I'm also part Native American. And I was like, I wasn't like the same as everyone else. And I just felt that initial feeling of like, I don't belong and I'm not the same. Like everyone spoke a different language. And it was a very like, I was in a lot of like more negative environments at that school. And I just was really struggling to like find my footing and feel good in myself. And then when I moved back to the US, I was 16 and I had 2 more years of high school. So I was thinking like, my life is going to be amazing. I can drive myself to Target. Like things are going to be amazing. Because when in Morocco, it's like, all I want to do is move back and drive to Target. I was like, that is what a good life is. But I moved back and basically like, I was so excited and I thought everything was going to be amazing. And I quickly realized like, again, I just didn't really feel comfortable and like fit in, because I was at this now very like white preppy school. I'm like so Middle Eastern and I had grown up abroad and everyone here was more like conservative. My high school was in Princeton, New Jersey. So it's
Wow.
right by the university, like very like academic and preppy, and everyone's wearing Vineyard Vines, and like I just didn't fit in. And like all the cool guys had like long blonde hair and played lacrosse, and their girlfriends all like blue eyes. And I just didn't feel like I wasn't like them. I went to this conference, or I applied to this conference. It's like a national diversity conference, but a lot of kids that get started in diversity work go to this. So I went there, and I was there for a weekend, and it just changed my life. And that's how I started working in diversity and equity and inclusion. So then for the rest of my high school years, I was like super into it, like working in diversity, facilitating workshops, like teaching things, and just very focused on that, focused on things related to race. And then basically when I was in college, I was still in the empowerment space. I actually interned at Girl Boss, and I know that you spoke at a conference at some point. But yeah, I worked for that company for a little. And then after I graduated from Columbia, I was working at Google. And at that time, the activism stuff was like, the Black Lives Matter stuff was coming in full effect, like really growing beyond obviously what any of us had seen in the past few years with the movement. And, I've always been super involved in the race space. Being like North African and stuff is just important to me. So I knew I wanted to do something. And then I found Elijah's case. And prior to that, I had been like, an activist, but nothing on a large scale. And so I found his case, and he really resonated with me because he reminded me a lot of my brother, his personality, like his mannerisms, like it just struck such a chord in me. So, because I had worked at Google and I've done a lot in like marketing and tech, I thought, oh, maybe I could make something. Like I could make some action items that are better than what exists, because right now there's not easy ways for people to take action. So I started posting about it on my own Instagram, just to friends. And then I, created this page, and I was just showing some friends and just trying to like get it going a little bit. But I never thought like people would really catch on to the case. And then it all of a sudden just started growing really fast. And I just started like working around the clock for like months to try to get this going. And then all of a sudden in 24 hours, I don't know what happened. It like grew from like, 20,000 followers to maybe like 100,000 followers. Like it was overnight. Everyone knew about the case.
I don't remember how I found out about Elijah, but as obviously you were talking and my, I am very aware of, how sensitive, race topics and stuff like that are, especially in America at that time. And I mean, always, but it's like, of course, there were so many people that willfully, had lived under rocks, because to say that you didn't notice what was going on in America prior to the time that all of this happened, in my opinion, is just willful ignorance. But obviously, I believe that people do deserve, opportunities to learn and grow and things like that. So obviously, I knew that there were things going on in America that weren't okay. But when all of this started to happen, and when I found out about Elijah at such a pivotal point in America, my heart broke, as most people did. But I wasn't expecting to. I had never been involved in kind of, I've used my page for years to help amplify marginalized voices and to help share causes that were important to me. I've been very vocal about Black Lives Matter on all of my platforms for the past 5-6 years. But this particular moment felt different, which I think is what you were saying is it literally, it didn't happen overnight, but the attention for Elijah's case in particular did. And there's another case that you were working on, and I'm kind of skipping ahead to what I want to ask you, but there's a case that you're working on that you had brought to my attention that resonated with me similarly, like Elijah's, which was Matthew Rushin. And, for those of you that aren't familiar, Matthew is a Black autistic man. Would I say that he's wrongfully incarcerated? Because I mean, he should have never been in prison, right? Do you want to tell me a little bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you also were helping with Matthew's case and actually just share, because there's an update about Matthew, in in all of this that Soraya was instrumental in making this happen?
Yeah. So basically, when I was working on this first case, then people would reach out to me, like other families or other lawyers, and say like, "Hey, we have this case. Like, do you think you could help?" And I just started. I was still working at Google at the time, but I just was like, "I can do it all." So I just started connecting with all these families, and I had gotten in contact with Matthew's mom. Basically, the story is that Matthew Russian is a boy in his early 20s, man in his early 20s, living in Virginia. He's Black and he's autistic, and super sweet boy, super close to his family, like just a normal kid, like that you would see in your neighborhood. And basically, he was in a car accident, like fully unintentional. But, because the system is so biased against people that like Black people, but also people that have any sort of disability or like
Yes.
difference. They basically had said that he was trying to kill the man or trying to kill himself. And then they gave him, I believe it was a 50-year sentence. He's already served for over a year. And so I got in contact with his mom, and then I just started creating like different materials. I was like, I can maybe send this to some of the people I work with. I sent it to you and you posted, which made such a difference. And within a week, a bunch of people took action, and the account had 10,000 more followers. And just what I wanted to do was really just like help push the efforts that the mom was already doing, because Laverne does so much for her son's case. And basically, through all of that, they were able to grant him a conditional pardon. So luckily, thankfully, Matthew's not going to have to be serving the next 10 years or whatever it was going to be that he was meant to sentence, and he's getting out this month. So another heartbreaking story, but thankfully this is one that, I think in activism it's hard because everything is so depressing. And a lot of these cases that come to me are things that already happened and it's too late. Like the person was already taken, their family is already, they can't get them back. At least in this Matthew case, it's like, he's going to come home. He's going to come home this month. And so, yeah, that was one of the more special cases I worked on.
I mean, folks like me would have never known about, Matthew and his case. And while I know Matthew's story has, a happy ending, and I mean, he isn't out yet and I don't trust the system, but when he gets out, that's what I'm putting in the universe, that he is getting out and that it's going to be a great reunion. And what can we do really for cases like Elijah where justice has not been served? I know that you launched several initiatives for Elijah's family. There's been so much that has been done, and rightfully so. His family is very private, as they should be. I would probably, I can't imagine, but I'd probably be the same. What can folks that are listening and watching do for Elijah's case, and maybe some of the other ones you're working on, but particularly Elijah? What can they do to help justice be served?
Yeah. So I guess first thing I'll say actually is, in this, like, I work with a bunch of different people, and I work with a lot of activists from Colorado and in that community that have been affected. So everything I do is very connected with them. Like, I'm not the kind of activist that just goes in community and say like, I know what you need. I know that this is what your community needs. So I am connected with the groups and with the organizations and like local activists and stuff to make sure we're doing things in line with what they want. And basically right now, as it stands, like, the government officials there continue to be very difficult. There was a investigation that came out proving that he did absolutely nothing to warrant even being stopped by the police. So we're still waiting on action. But one of the things that we're trying to push right now, and trying to aim for a bill to be passed that would make it illegal for like sedatives and forcible injectables to be used for law enforcement purposes. So that's super, super important to be able to protect other people in Colorado. And, hopefully we can push that nationwide eventually so that, nobody is subject to that sort of thing. So you can continue to check out the @Justice for Elijah McClain handle on Instagram. And I always have updated action items, because the main thing with these kinds of cases is like, unfortunately, if we just take action one time, not much stuff happens. So it's really about like the continued effort over months and months. And even though it takes a lot from everyone involved, like that's where we see change, like we did with Matthew's case and others.
Yeah, absolutely. What I have noticed from these cases and from from watching Soraya's work the past year is that this is a long game. This is something that you have to really be invested in. And I would just urge anyone that's watching and listening that has followed me on my platforms and that will follow Soraya after, and these justice pages for families of police brutality, that you understand that we continually need your help. We continually need you to show up, to take action when you're seeing these things shared, because don't think just because you do it one time that's it. Like she was saying, this is a full-time thing. And obviously I know that not everyone has the capacity to take things on, and that's not what I'm asking, but I would ask that, share it. It takes a second to like text it to someone, to share it to someone's Instagram, to just know and remember that this is someone's loved one that's no longer with them, and that don't think that you can't make a difference, because I have seen it in the work that Soraya is doing. And I know that, that things can change and that justice can be served. So.
Yeah. And I think that something that's, so present here now is that all these action items are easy. Like everything that I make on any of the cases I've worked with is easy. It always takes like a minute.
Yes.
The email things are like pre-coded.
Yes.
You can click to call. It will dial you up and have you call everyone. You don't have to click a button. Like the petition is one click. Everything is one click. So I think, what I've seen, unfortunately, and I'm sure you've seen, is like people, some of the progress has slowed, unfortunately, because a lot of people get exhausted, which does make sense. But I think it's helpful for people to do that mental check of like, will 30 seconds change my day? No, but like it really could change things for this other person out there. So is it worth 30 seconds? Probably.
Absolutely.
And most recently with another case I'm doing for Patrick Warren, like he was suffering a mental health crisis. Like I know that, like I understand what that is. And so I feel like I have to help that community. This case is something I really want people to know about, because a lot of people don't know about it because it just happened in January. Basically, Patrick Warren Sr. Was a man living in Killeen, Texas, and he was suffering from a mental health crisis. He wasn't violent or anything, but he was just like getting a little confused, and his family was concerned for him. So they called a mental health hotline to send out a counselor who had come the day before. This day they sent a police officer, and the police officer was in and out of the house in like maybe even under 2 minutes, like extremely quick. Patrick went onto the front lawn, and the police officer shot him 3 times on the front lawn in front of his family. Extremely tragic. But unfortunately, like this system doesn't protect people that are needing help. And like, even, situations like this where the family said, this is a mental health crisis, he's not violent. Like you can't do any more than that. You can't do any more than ask for help and tell those coming like everything what's going on, and fill them in on the fact that like there's no need for violence or guns. This is just a man who's in crisis. So I've been working really closely with the family, with Patrick's son named Patrick Warren Jr., who's so incredible. The family is just so inspiring because, they're faced with this horrible situation. They experienced this tragedy, and they're still, persevering and trying to fight. So we're putting out a video, and we have a petition where people can take action. Basically, by signing the petition, you are just demanding that the officer is held accountable, because, what he did is just inexcusable. And also, we're demanding for federal funding increases for mental health resources, because this is a resource issue at this point. Like, there's no reason that they should be sending police officers to someone saying, I specifically need help for a mental health case. So that's what we're advocating for with that. And I'd also encourage people, if they're able to donate to this family through their GoFundMe, which you can find all this at the petition, which is at crisisisnotcriminal.com. But basically, the family, It's tough because Patrick was the sole provider for their family. Patrick Jr., who I work with, who's amazing, his brother is special needs, so that's very expensive. And then on top of that, with the crises in Texas, they were displaced from their homes. So it's just like hardship after hardship, but they're maintaining such a positive and inspiring attitude through everything. So if anyone's listening, please take action. Crisisisnotcriminal.com. You can find this. I'll link it in my bio. And if you could take action, donate if you can, even if it's just a little. This is such an incredible family, and they do a lot for their community. And so I'm hoping that other people can support them too. And hopefully, we'll see some accountability on the case. Hopefully, we'll see increases in mental health funding so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And yeah, just hoping to see progress, honestly.
So, obviously, those listening and watching, I hope that is made clear that the reason we're even discussing this case is because this individual was a person of color. It was a race issue, and I urge you all to take action. And I know you guys will, because, you guys are the best. How do folks get news about the injustices that are happening to marginalized communities when most of these big networks are not airing what's happening? And I know that there's so many. Do you have any advice, I guess, for folks that are wanting to get involved, even if it's to donate, even if it's to share or help their local community? Where do they go?
I love that question. I would say that what I found most helpful for me, and like even educating myself in this time, because there's so much new news all the time, and it's like, how does one keep up with all of it, is really to hear from like on the ground people, like on the ground activists. So for me, like I run Justice for Elijah McClain on Instagram, and like a few other pages. But beyond that, I follow like super informative, super easy to read accounts on Instagram. Like So You Want to Talk About is an account that I've worked with so much, and they do such incredible work. Now Simplified does like political information. So following those kinds of accounts on Instagram really can totally change your perspective. Like, it's impossible to know about everything. I feel like I know a lot about a few things, but then there's a lot that I don't know a lot about, especially because I focus so much on race. Like, I don't, like, for example, when things come up that are happening in different countries, sometimes I'm like, oh, I never would have known, because I'm so hyper focused about issues happening here that, I'm uninformed about that. So following accounts like that, Impact is another Instagram account that does great work that, I've worked with them in the past on things. Follow those. And that way, like, when you're scrolling through and seeing your mindless stuff, you can also see some things that can teach you about important things happening right now. And they can also share the action items with you to make sure that, like, as you're learning, you're also trying to like give that energy back and support these issues.
Absolutely. And like she said earlier, following these pages, I mean, I follow all the ones that you talked about, and it's such a great source of knowledge. And like Soraya was saying earlier, it takes 30 seconds, under a minute, to take action on these things that you're going to see. So while you're scrolling through Instagram and seeing my cute outfits and everyone else's like photos of their dogs, and I like the pure part of what Instagram was originally created for, you are also staying informed about what's going on, not just in your community, but all over. So I want to talk a bit about, everyone has been throwing around the term cancel culture, right? And I want to know if you have any suggestions for folks that, because there's a difference, right, in calling someone in and calling someone out. And I know it can be hard. When I'm encountering racist behavior, there's a lot of things that I can do. There's a checklist that I go through. But do you have any advice for folks that if they're encountering, something like knowing whether to call in or call out, right?
Yeah. That's something that I've definitely struggled with a lot, especially when it's someone you love, because it's like, I love you, what you said is like making me boil inside. But actually, someone who taught me a lot about this is, when I was in high school, I had this teacher named Mr. Dowse, and he was the diversity teacher. And I'm still very close with him. He's guided me through this whole experience. And when I came to him, I was 16. I didn't know a thing about a thing. And I would say things sometimes that like, weren't filled with hate, but just were like not the right words to use, or I didn't know so much. And he would lovingly and like with compassion call me out and just be like, that word, it has these kinds of connotations. And I would just say and go, okay. And I would never use the word again. All I needed was like someone to show me the compassion. And when I had that compassion, that space, like I didn't feel defensive, and what he's taught people in like his workshops, and I still go back to my high school and teach it this sort of stuff sometimes, is that, pointing out to someone, not like you're racist, like you're sexist, you're this, because then it feels so deeply personal, but you're saying like, oh, that thing that you said, like, maybe that has this connotation, or like, have you ever thought about it that way? I'm not the person who's invented that approach, but it's something that's been passed down to me, and something that he taught me. He gave me so much grace when I was starting, and people say that I give that to them. I struggle because I always worry that I like come across as too harsh. But even my sister, like when I was starting this journey of like kind of waking up, and I would say, oh, when you say that, like I kind of think it has this connotation. She would be defensive. She'd be like, no, like you don't know. But then years later, she came to me and said, all those times you lovingly called me out built up to one day me saying, oh my gosh, like I totally changed my perspective. So meeting the people that with love, and just kind of compassionately showing them another way does a lot. I think for people who are just starting.
You're right.
But at the same time, people, I will acknowledge that, it's not Black people or people of color's job to, educate. So for me, like when it comes to race, like I'm not Black, I'm more like mixed brown. So I feel like I have that space to do that without it deeply affecting me. But like, every community, if they're sick of calling people out one way, like however they want to do it is best for them. Obviously is the way they should go about it. But that's something that's helped.
Well, I also appreciate the last thing that you said, because that was something that I was going to say was, especially white folks listening to this, is it's not people of color's job to educate you. It's not appropriate to ask questions about race to your friends who are people of color, unless you guys have, I can't speak on everyone's relationships, but the work is out there. There's a ton of resources and things to do. And like Soraya said, some people have the capacity for that. But as white folks, we've had everything handed to us. So the least we can do is, find some information that's going to make us better at just being better, so that we're not harming the marginalized communities around us. You have the biggest heart out of a lot of people that I know. And I know that,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you do. And
you have the biggest heart of people. Seriously.
Thank you. What does it look like for self-care for someone that is doing the kind of work that you do? How do you kind of take care of yourself when you're feeling really low and kind of just down?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. You're so loving, and it just totally comes through. That's been a big challenge this year in this kind of work. The consequences are much more severe. It's like, is this person going to get out of prison? So I put a lot of pressure on myself. It's really hard to stay positive. The work is heartbreaking, and it's very hard to always be trying to motivate people to act. It's like, it feels very frustrating sometimes, because you just wonder, like, why have people gotten tired? Like, why doesn't everyone care as much as I care about this right now? But I think that self-care, I'm like, where am I? Because self-care, I don't know that I have a lot of self-care with this kind of work. It's more like I'm just trying to pedal to the metal until I can't anymore. But,
well, I mean, maybe this is your reminder that you need to implement.
I'm having an existential crisis.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's been a hard year. It's been a lot of tears. Basically, my self-care is like, have a cry sometimes. I'm triggered all the time by extremely emotional content. Like, cry, talk to my mom, who I love so much and is like my inspiration. And she assures me that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, we love we love a supportive mom, and that actually I had a question and then I kind of skipped past it, but you led me into that. So, I struggle with mom guilt, not being able to be with my kids instead of working, not being able to see my friends and date and all of that. Because my job is so incredibly demanding, because it's not just like I'm, out here modeling and like, it's not all glamour. A lot of the work
it's not fabulous all the time,
it's
guys.
not.
Inside scoop.
It's not. And a lot of the work I do is advocacy. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Yes, I help advocacy in the space that Soraya works in, but most of mine is in diversity and body positivity and self-love and things like that. But I know for myself, it's hard to juggle it all. So do you ever deal with guilt for taking time to yourself, or maybe like unwinding or pushing the pause button? Because from what you were telling me, you're kind of go, go, go. But I know that there has to be part of you that's like, I need to just like turn my brain off.
Yeah, I have a lot of guilt with it, especially I think my guilt is more so like during the past year. Now it's a little better, but during, let's say, like the first 6 months, maybe starting like last June, of like when I was like very committed, like 24/7 activism, I definitely did a lot less for like the people around me. And like, I didn't have that, I didn't even have enough energy for myself. So I wasn't really giving any like that energy or love that I usually give to like my family, my friends. And like, I don't like that. I don't like want to be the person that like is so wrapped up in like my thing that like I can't be as there for people. But it's like my thing isn't even about me. It's about like, so I have a lot of guilt about that sort of stuff. But I think what I realized with this work, and I think probably a lot of other people in it feel it too, is it's like at this point, like there's no choice. Like when you like wake up to this, it's like, and I feel like, I mean, you're so in it, like you can't just shut it off and stop doing it. Like, what am I going to do? Like go, I could like go be I'm not trying to shade consultants. I could go be in a super like high paying corporate-y job and just like do that. But it's like, I don't know how to like be the way I was before, because I've seen so much that it's just what my life is now. And I think probably anyone in the activism space that feels like they've like woken up to like the problems of our society, it's like once you have that, you just can't go back.
Absolutely. And you're right. There is, and I knew that you probably felt guilty to some capacity. So it is a bit nice to have solidarity in regards to that. But also as your big sister, and I told you this the other day via text, you remind me, I'm like protective of you. You remind me of the little sister that I'm the oldest of 3 boys. So,
oh my God.
So it's just me, but you're just like my little sister, and I'm very protective of you. So this is just my reminder to you that, and to tell your mom too, that you need to take time for yourself. And I feel like your mom would make sure that you implement some good self-love routines into all of this.
She tries to help me out, but thank you. Yeah. Your like guidance honestly has been so invaluable, because I remember like when I was trying to get this, Tess was in this celebrity advocacy video that we did for the Elijah case last summer. And she like pulled in all these amazing celebrities and like helped so much. And your publicist was helping and she's so amazing. And you did so much, but like, and I was actually losing my mind.
You did
and,
great.
Like, unwell, because I was so stressed out, but I had trouble like putting boundaries on things and with relationships and like trying to make everyone happy. And the way you operated was like, no, like this is how it's going to be. You're doing what you know is right. And it inspired me. And even seeing today, the way that you operate of like, I know what's right for me. Like that's what's going to go. It really inspires me, because I'm still at that stage now where I'm figuring out how to place boundaries, and I'm not totally comfortable with it yet. And like you show me that like you can do that.
Yeah.
Like you're the one that gives yourself permission to put those boundaries in place. And once they're there, everyone just has to respect it. So I learn a lot just from like seeing the way that you work and that you navigate things.
Thank you. That means a lot. And for those listening and watching, even though she's being incredibly kind, I have always been horrible at boundaries because I always thought that I had to do more than I wanted to do and extend myself more than I needed to in order to get people to love, respect me, pay me, whatever. And then when you realize that, because you're run ragged and everyone around you is taking advantage of you and you are doing things that don't feel good and don't feel aligned to what you're doing, you start to suffer, but everyone around you is benefiting. And so boundaries are incredibly important. And, the work that you're doing, there are going to be people that are going to do that. And I'm proud of you. And I will help you put all those boundaries in place because, you're a gift and the people in your life, everyone's going to benefit if you are happy, if there are boundaries in place, if you're feeling more aligned into yourself and your purpose. And anyone else that's not along for that ride, peace. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But, if there's someone listening or watching that wants to get involved, that maybe sees something in their community or a case, do you have any advice on maybe how they can navigate a world of activism?
Yeah. So first, anyone that decides to be an activist is an activist. Like, of course, you want to be educated on the topic that you're activating on and like doing your due diligence. But like, I'm so normal, and I just started doing this because I was like, oh, maybe my efforts could be helpful, so I may as well just try. So as long as you're are informed on something, then anyone can have a voice in that. I think that I would just suggest for people to like start making things, like start making, a video with your friends or making graphics on something you care about. A while back, last year when everything was going on and people would ask me like, I'm really passionate about this one issue. Like, how do I speak on it? I was like, oh, I should probably teach people like some of the ways that I do things. And I made this website called theigactivist.com. And actually, if you go there, I teach you I just have like it all up, and you can just see like, how do you make an automatic email link? How do you make links where people can automatically click to call a government official and things like that. So you can go on there and read because it did take me a while to figure that stuff out. But, overall, like it's not that hard to do. Just like try to find something important to you, educate yourself on it and raise your voice. And search around on Google and find like little tricks on like how to do it best or how to make the right graphics or do stuff like that. But yeah, I think everyone has a voice, and so everyone has people listening. And so, I would encourage people to use that. I wish I had done that sooner, and I think that like teenagers or anyone younger or anyone older but starting in their activism journey should definitely do that.
I love that. I love that you have those resources. I mean, your site is wonderful. I spent a lot of time on it preparing for our interview. But yeah, and just to add on to what Soraya said, I've been in the activism and advocacy space for, I guess I would say 10 years because I've been advocating for self-love and body positivity for over a decade. My advice would be, it doesn't matter if you have a ton of people following you, and her story is a great example that, when you have passion and when you have drive and when you believe in something, the numbers, like, yeah, obviously the more numbers, the better, the more impact, but you never know, especially with this day and age, you never know. I've had several of my friends that are in the activism space that do like infographics and things like that have just like blown up through the pandemic, and they didn't have large numbers, but they believed in what they were doing. So, I love that. I love that you have. So tell everybody your site again, that they can go to find these tools.
Yeah. So if you go to theigactivist.com, basically you can just see like resources. I list some places where if you're BIPOC or if you're like a Black organization or something, you can get free graphic design support, or activists can get free graphic design support, or, I teach how to make those auto email links that people can click and then they can email their representatives on things and things of that nature. So basically, it's not that hard. It's just can be hard in the beginning to like figure it out. But like Tess had said, like, it's really not about like having followers. Like I was showing things to like my friends in college. So it's not about that. It's more like if you are passionate and know a lot about something that you care about it, people are bound to listen. And, you know, if you ask your friends for support, then I'm sure that they'll want to like extend that and help get your message out there.
Wow, you're the best. I appreciate you so much.
This is so nice. I appreciate you.
Well, the fun's not over because we are going to play a game, and I was trying to struggle on like, because obviously we're talking about really important things, and a lot of my games on previous episodes have been highly inappropriate. So I was making sure that the game was appropriate to the topics that we were discussing. Okay. So we're going to play Never Have I Ever. Okay. And the rules, so both of us will hold up a hand, and I'm going to read out some statements that my fans wrote in about something that they have never done. If you have done it, you can put down a finger. So at Gold Getter, never have I ever been in a talent show. You were in a talent show?
Should I say?
Yes.
Actually, I was kicked out of a talent show in elementary school because I had dreams. I was like, I'm going to be singing, dancing in front of the school. And I had an anger problem actually as a child, and I've gotten over it since, but I had an anger problem, and I threw a fit, and my mom kicked me out of the rehearsal, and I wasn't allowed to perform. So my star-studded days were cut short.
Yeah, I love that.
Were you in a talent show?
Yeah, so I'm going to put my hand down for this just so I'm not sitting here telling the story. So I too had dreams like you. I can sing pretty well. But one day I'll send you a voice note singing.
I want a voice recording of you like in the middle of the night, just whispering into your phone. Like,
I will. Oh, you will get one. I had big dreams too, and I thought that I was going to be this like famous singer one day. So my high school did a talent show. I was in...
Oh, high school. You put yourself out there.
Oh, it gets so bad, Soraya. I was in 9th grade, and me and my friend Marie, we had a falling out after this. It's probably because of what happened. Marie and I were huge No Doubt fans. You couldn't tell me shit. I loved Gwen Stefani when I was a kid. And so I was like, we're going to do this talent show and we're going to sing Don't Speak. I had on, I had on my best Gwen Stefani outfit, and we get up there. Soraya, it was a lip syncing contest. I can't dance. And then there's that whole part in Don't Speak where it's just like, it's like.
So you thought it was a singing thing, and then it wasn't. No.
And so I'm up on stage. My friend Marie is a natural performer. She's slender, so she can move. I'm up there like a Teletubby, lip syncing to Don't Speak. She starts doing kicks. I'm like trying to like throw my body around and do it. Honestly, was so after that, no one talked to me. But I mean, you couldn't tell me shit when I was on stage. I did, right? This next question is at Parks and Rec Freak. Never have I ever had a paranormal experience.
Oh my God. Oh, wait. I'm getting nervous. I have not, but I read tarot cards, and I'm very spiritual, and I'm like, but I make it so clear. Like I'll say to myself in my head a lot, I'm like, no spirits, just no one in my space tonight. No one touch me, leave me alone while I'm sleeping. Like I get freaked because it's never happened to me, but I'm scared. What's happened to you? Now I'm getting nervous.
Listen, also I'm going to have you read my cards. I know it has to be like the right moment, and it has to
I can give you a reading. Sometime. I give readings for all my friends.
I would love that.
We can do a love reading.
I would listen, after the person that slid in my DMs and the person I don't know if I need to date, I need one. My paranormal experience was literally, I mean, I've had a few, but the one I'll pick was just, I was at my dad's house when I was a teenager, and Everyone was in bed and I was downstairs and I heard footsteps upstairs. I heard someone using the fridge. My two brothers are teenagers now. Well, one of them's 21, one of them's Hunter, 18. And they, so they were babies at this time. They're not walking around in the fridge. My dad and my stepmom were asleep. I know that for a fact. And
it's so messed up.
The ice machine went off, and this would happen a lot. And it would always be around the same time in the same spot in my house. And, I eventually moved out and didn't have to deal with it. But, when you're 17 and you're 17 watching movies, staying up, eating snacks, the last thing you want to hear is your fridge and your ice machine and walking when everyone's asleep.
Did you freeze? Would you freeze? Like you're so,
yeah.
See, what I would try to do is I'd try to speak and be like, guys, no, do not enter my space. Do not enter my aura. Leave me alone.
If I was as in tune spiritually as I am now, absolutely. Then I just had to try not to crap my pants because
I can't believe you got through it. I would have needed so much therapy after that. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, don't worry. I need a ton of therapy for other stuff. All right. So we have three more, right? Yeah, 3. Okay. Never have I ever been on a cruise. I'm actually deathly afraid of cruises. That's why I chose this one.
I don't like the idea of it.
I just think that you're in love with someone before you go on a cruise, and you think you are, and then you're thrown overboard, and then people are looking for your body. So that's actually why I don't do cruises.
Feel that. I don't think it sounds like fun.
It doesn't, especially post-pandemic. It doesn't sound like fun.
Oh yeah, just close quarters.
At Sam I Am, never have I ever faked sick from work. So many times. What was the silliest thing that you've ever said to get out of work?
Oh boy, I don't even know. I think. See, I'm such a goody. I really don't I can't really lie or anything. But when I was doing the activism stuff, I would sometimes just stop working and just start working on the activism stuff. I was this is more important.
Yeah.
There's more important things that I need to do right now.
I've definitely faked for so many reasons, for so many things, not as important as
you're I almost faked in sick today.
No, I mean, thank God, that's part of why I get to do what I love. And that's the best part of it. And then the last question is, at heaven and death, never have I ever gotten stitches. I never have either. Wow, look at us. Unstitched queens.
I know. I did though. When I was a kid, I was ran over by a horse-drawn carriage.
I should have laughed.
But I didn't need stitches.
I was just
No, it's crazy.
You were ran over.
You're caught off guard. It's so bizarre. But I didn't need stitches. So
you were ran over by a horse-drawn
carriage.
Wow.
That's my fun facts that I give people when I'm meeting. What else do you say? So I was 3 and I was it was Christmas, the carriage rides, and I fell under and then the wheel went over me, and I still remember, but I didn't need stitches. So that was my big injury of my life. But
I love that. Well, I mean,
ended up being okay.
I love it. Modern day Cinderella. I just think I think of her, I think horse and carriage. That's a pumpkin. It doesn't matter. It's a carriage.
No, yeah. Close enough.
Thanks for being a good sport with the game.
That was so fun.
I'm so happy to have had you hanging out with me. And I have one last question before I let you go. And that is, how are you showing yourself love today?
Oh, I love that question. Honestly, I think I am going to watch The Bachelor.
Yes.
I struggle with the franchise because they do messed up stuff and they have all these they have all these racism issues, and I don't like it. I'm a support Rachel Lindsay all the way, but I think I'm gonna have to watch The Bachelor. There's some diverse contestants that I'm supporting, and that's really the highlight of my week, to be honest.
Listen, you work in diversity and advocacy. You are if you know that what you're watching is problematic, and I watch stuff like I still love The Office, but there's parts of The Office that did not age well, just like Parks and Rec or any show that I watch. So it's like you just have to, if you know and you're going into it and that's what it is and it makes you happy, then I say go it. And maybe I'll start watching it so that we can, I don't know, I'll start watching it so we can like discuss it. Because then I feel like
it brings me a little joy, and then I can get through my week of like my actual like activism, stressful, like just a little bit of like mindlessness is always good.
Good. Yeah, you deserve it. I want to thank Soraya for being my guest today. You are the absolute best. I feel so honored to have sat down with you and get to introduce everybody to you. For those that are listening and watching, how do they follow you on social media?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was seriously, I had the best time. That was so much fun. And yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Soraya Hamidi, which is like, how do you spell that? It's SarayAHamidi. And yeah, basically on my page that because I work on all these cases, like all these cases like have like different pages, but that's kind of where I can like update people more broadly on all the cases, get them involved in new cases that are super pressing. So yeah, you can always find information there on everything I'm working on and keep up with all the action items.
And you can also check out her website, which we mentioned before, which is the igactivist.com, right? And then they can keep up with you there and find resources and stuff like that too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. This has been so much fun, and my heart is so full. And yeah, this was a blast. Thank you to everyone at home at your own slumber party for tuning in. But remember, if you were listening to this episode, you can check us out on YouTube. And if you were watching this episode, you can listen anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to rate and review, like, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks, y'all.